Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Get Real. You're listening to Brenda
and Ashley, and today we're recording our third episode, but we actually just launched our first one today. So Brenda, how are you feeling since then?
You know what? I'm feeling pretty excited. I thought it wasn't going to go as good as I expected it to go. So I'm feeling pretty positive, pretty great about it. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for reposting and sharing. This is pretty different for me because I know I'm not much to be into social media.
Is it weird for you because you never have your voice online?
It is actually. A lot of my friends have told me how different I sound on audio.
No, you sound the same.
Really?
Yeah, you sound the exact same.
It's hard because I never hear myself until recently when I was listening to the podcast. I'm like, oh, is that my voice?
You know what? You put on a podcast voice. Like, it's not, oh, we're talking Brenda. It sounds like you, but it's also like, hi guys, you're listening to, you know what I mean?
More enthusiastic.
You're more enthusiastic, yeah. But it's different. For me, it's kind of normal because of YouTube and stuff. I'm used to talking to myself, talking to microphone, camera. But for you, it's
yeah, it's very different.
You don't even do Instagram stories. You just post little boomerangs and shit.
I do.
Yeah, I never heard your voice on Instagram.
Yeah, I know. It's very different, but I'm excited. I'm very excited because I'm seeing a lot of good positive energies from it. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
And we do want to tell you guys that it helps us out so freaking much when you give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcast app. So if you have been listening to us on that app, make sure you go on there, give us a 5-star rating. Let us know what you think about the podcast on there because it bumps us up and it helps us out a lot.
Yes, and feel free to repost stuff and tag us in it. We'll share it for sure. We like that positive energy and the feedback that you guys give us.
So for today's topics, we're pretty much going to be talking all about self-love because we both have come across a lot of people that are struggling with it, ourselves who have struggled with it. So we definitely want to go in depth on that.
Yeah. So since we're going to be talking about self-love, let's go over points and how to improve and strengthen one's self-awareness, self-love.
So we have a list here, and the list starts out with something that I think is the most important, crucial thing to self-love and achieving it, and that's self-awareness. Do you know what self-awareness is? Are you familiar with it?
Self-awareness as in your surroundings, what you're... No.
That's what I thought it was too. It is pretty much knowing yourself. So when you're self-aware, you're aware of yourself, your inner self, who you are, what your likes and dislikes are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, how you suck, where you thrive, all that stuff. So pretty much why I think self-awareness is so important. This is something I always say, and all my friends have heard me say this a million times. Okay, picture this, right? You're dating someone new, and you can't fall in love with him because you don't know him yet. You know what I mean? So you need to go on 10 dates with him. You need to figure him out. You need to figure out what pisses you off about him, all the different things about him before you can fall in love with him because you don't know the guy. How are you going to fall in love with someone you don't know? So I always say apply that to yourself. How are you going to achieve self-love if you don't apply getting to know yourself to who you are? You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So you have to know who you are to love yourself. I didn't realize that. I thought I could just fucking do a face mask and love myself and call that self-care. But self-awareness is really understanding who you are. I think the best way to go about this is journaling, a bunch of different things. Look up self-awareness, figure out what it is. But I think we should do a whole episode dedicated to it. But for now, as a part of this list, I will say self-awareness is number one key to self-love, because you can't start your journey until that, but definitely look it up.
That definitely makes sense because if you think about it, when you're looking for a job or your career path, you always think about what are the things that I like about myself, or going into school, what are my favorite subjects, so you know what you're going to get yourself into. Again, this doesn't mean that it's for you, but again, at least you know and you've tried it.
Exactly.
And that's what self-love is all about too, right? Exploring and kind of finding your happiness in what makes you you.
Exactly. And how are you really going to get any further in life if you don't know your purpose, if you don't know your passion, if you don't know what you hate? How are you going to date someone and, really, really let yourself be with that person if you don't know what you like and love about yourself? How are they going to know how to love you if you don't know how to love yourself, right? And self-awareness is the beginning of the journey to self-love.
Moving on to point number 2, I think another thing for self-love is being able to put yourself first. And when I say putting yourself first, I basically mean not in a selfish way, but knowing you're doing something for yourself. So you're doing something that is going to make you happy. You're not just doing it to kind of satisfy someone else.
Yeah.
This is what you want to do and you're doing it for yourself.
kind of like what you were saying last week, how sometimes you feel like you take on a lot in like your family and stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
That would be the perfect way to start practicing self-love, because you know you have to put yourself first in that case. Yeah.
Exactly. Doing things that are also going to make you grow, and you know, again, the basic thing of it all is just making sure that when you're making a decision, you're thinking in your head, like, am I doing this for myself, or am I doing it just to kind of, you know, help someone else?
Okay, so do you have any examples of a way that you can practice putting yourself first? How do you do it?
Yes. I know a lot of us have been in the situation where, like, a friend might ask for a favor. Sometimes, you know, it's hard with, like, work and a bunch of things that is going on in your life. So a good example would be when a friend is asking you, for example, a friend is asking you, "Kate, can you pick me up from the airport?" And
Brenda just offered to pick me up from the airport, so now I feel like she's throwing shade.
But like, no, because
oh
you're coming from the airport on the 29th, right? So I'm off that day, and I know, okay, I don't have plans.
Yeah.
So why not offer to help a person out? And I know that I'm not doing anything that day, so it's not really backing up my plans.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing it for the sake of doing you a favor, but I'm doing you a favor as well as knowing that, okay, this is a genuine favor, because, you know, if I really couldn't, I'd be like straight up honest with you and be like, listen, I have work, I can't do it.
So it's like if you were to call off your shift.
Exactly. Then that's kind of like, okay, I'm not doing it just to be genuine to you. I'm doing it, and I'm trying to change my plans around to kind of put you before myself.
Yeah.
So that would be a good example. I know we've all been in a situation where, you know, we're too scared to tell a friend no, or a family member, like, no, I can't do it today, but we just try to do it and move things around, which end up putting us back in our plans, right? So I think that's a good example. I feel like everyone's been in that situation. I know I've been in that situation a lot of times.
Me too. Trust me. I've done that so many times, and then I'm like mad at myself after. Because another thing, like, there's another problem with that is if you do that too often, you start to resent the other person, but it's really not their fault because they don't know what you're doing. They don't know what you're moving around. They don't know how much you're doing unless you express it to them. But if you start to resent them, then you take it out on them. But really, it's an inner problem within yourself that you need to work on, because that could be why your relationships might be failing.
Agreed.
The next one we have is expressing gratitude. So this is something that I think is so important to self-love. So there's always shitty things that are going on in our lives, and I feel like the more gratitude that you put into the universe, the more A, good things are going to happen to you, but B, you're going to feel better about everything. Because if you waste your time complaining about shit, and I really realized this because I complained a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. I complained about everything. I'm not anymore. I complained about everything you can think of. Like, if my ice is not frozen enough, I'm mad because it's melting. You know what I mean?
Bro, you complained today about me giving you a small iced coffee.
Okay, but that's because I specifically asked you to get me the larger one, but you didn't feel like listening. But anyways, so you're so annoying. So pretty much, I feel like when you express gratitude, it kind of leaves less room for negative self-talk, negative talk in general. So like, if you find yourself like not liking something about yourself, try to just tell yourself the things you like. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, like my teeth are crooked as fuck, but I have really nice eyes. So always kind of combat negative talk with positive talk and gratitude in general.
Agreed. Also, guys, I know we were talking about complaining. There's a big difference between complaining and venting to someone.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
You're not always going to be happy.
Yeah. So my thing, too, is it's okay to vent. Like, we all have our moments in time where we want to kind of just let it all out. We've been going through a lot, and that's totally fine. But my thing, too, is if you're venting to someone and waiting for, like, I guess an advice or like something to hear from that person, and you completely do the opposite, like, that's whack.
That is whack. Just be careful who you vent to as well.
Yeah.
I try not to vent to too many people. I'm trying not to do it as much too. Like, I really just want to replace a lot of that with positivity. But like, again, gratitude in general, examples of that can be what I do in the morning is I say 3 things I'm grateful for every single morning before I check my phone, before I do anything, before I even take my sleeping mask off. I will say 3 things that I'm grateful for. It could literally be, I'm grateful that I had a really good coffee last night. Like, it could be anything. But being grateful for things just brings so much positivity into your life, and it just makes you feel better overall, and you train your mind to the point where you're like always expecting things to be better, which is really good for you.
Agreed. And being grateful also helps us during those stressful and down times, right? Because we're already down as it is and we feel shitty. So to, you know, make yourself think like, okay, it could be worse, or
Yeah.
you know, it's actually not that bad as I'm making it seem to be, will kind of help you get out of that funk. Being grateful is always an important thing. I know we kind of always take that, you know,
Take it for granted
a lot of times.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, we don't have it that bad. And like, I get it, some people have really, really bad situations.
Yeah.
But again, you have to think to yourself, like, could it be worse? And if it could be worse, then you know, like, there is something to be grateful for.
I saw this meme that like really stuck out to me. It was a guy that was in a wheelchair, and he was looking at another guy. And I know this is audio, guys, but try and envision this. He was looking at another guy that was walking. He's like, oh, I wish I could walk. And the guy that was walking was looking at a guy on a bicycle and was like, oh, I wish I had money to buy a bike. And the guy on the bicycle was looking at a guy in a car. He's like, I wish I had a car. That guy was like, I wish I had a nice supercar like the guy next to me. And then the other fucking guy was like, I wish I had a helicopter. It was just a never-ending chain of like people wanting more.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
like,
it's a known fact too that no matter what we have, we always
we want more. The grass is always green on the
Yes.
other side, and it's so fucked up because that's going to get you stuck in an endless loop of dissatisfaction.
Well, in the way you can use that for motivation, but just don't forget where you stand and what brought you to where
and
you are.
what you
That's the
have.
most important thing. It's just being thankful, being grateful, and knowing, you can motivate yourself to do better and to do bigger things, but just know where you came from and know where you started.
Exactly. Like, for example, one more quick example. I love my apartment so much. It's cozy. It's great. I have a good window. Beautiful, right? I went to my friend's apartment. It's more like a fucking house, but it's a condo. It's huge. It's like 5 bedrooms. It's ginormous, floor to ceiling windows, beautiful view of the city. I went there and I was so jealous, and I was like, oh my God, like, I wish I had something like this. Like, the whole time I was just thinking about, like, damn, like, they're so lucky. And then I put myself in check and I was like, what the fuck? I left my place loving my apartment. What's changed? Like, yes, they have nice things, but at the end of the day, I still love my apartment, so I can't compare it.
And there's always going to be people who are doing bigger and better things than you, but don't discourage yourself and make that, like, a wall for you to not be able to get there too. Like, just, you know, give yourself that motivation and make a plan
what
and
I did.
steps.
Yeah, I shifted my perspective, and I was like, okay, I know I want to get to this one day. What am I going to do to get there? Right now, this is part of my path, and I'm enjoying it. I love my apartment. But yeah, again, expressing gratitude is huge.
Very important. Another point would be being okay in solitude. And when I mean being okay with it, is like being okay with being alone and like having the company of yourself. So I'm not saying like isolate yourself and cut yourself from everybody, but what I'm saying is
friend, right?
Exactly being okay with being alone and not having to be liked or not having to be, you know, around certain people. Like just knowing that being okay, being by yourself makes you feel okay.
Yeah, and I think this is super, super important, especially if you're in a relationship.
Yes.
You always want to make sure that you're not emotionally or codependent on someone, and you're always okay alone. Like, don't wait for them to go to dinner. If they can't go to dinner with you, go take yourself out for dinner if you're comfortable with that, or at least like stay home and make a nice dinner and enjoy it. Don't cry because they're busy.
This also helps with being independent and being your own person, right? Because if something goes wrong, something happened, you know you can get things done and you can do things on your own. So it's a big point. A lot of people are not okay with being alone, even when it comes to the smallest things, like, you know, going grocery shopping or grabbing like or doing errands. Like, I find that when you're older, I feel like some of us do create that independence of going alone. But I find that it's not so. It's starting to become a thing where people do it later on in life.
Yeah,
they're still
like
very
after
like
21,
dependent. Yeah, because if like in your late 20s, late teens, early 20s, that's when, you know, you feel like you can become your own person, become independent. But I find that not a lot of people.
I don't think a lot of people are like that. I'm definitely like that. Like, I live alone. I take myself on dates. I go everywhere you could possibly think alone. I'm going to New York alone. So it's like, I'm okay with it, but I know most people, they need someone to run errands with. They need someone to go to appointments with them. They need someone to do things for them. And it's just like, yes, it's cool to have people around that are there when you want company, but you should know that you're okay when you don't have company.
Exactly.
And you're not lonely.
Because that also, like, affects yourself in general, because that basically means you're not going to get your stuff done unless you have somebody by your side, which is not okay, because then you're pretty much putting your plans into someone else's hands, and that's not cool.
Yeah, know the difference between being alone and lonely.
Yes.
Like Sabrina Claudio said, I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. I don't know if you know that song, Confidently Lost. Really good song. But yeah, be alone and be okay with that, because no one is going to die with you. No one came into this world with you. Like, you're good. So the next one is don't live to please others. I've recently started doing this because I used to be a people pleaser, and I realized that I'm the kind of person that I would go hang out with someone just because they want to hang out, even though I know I don't want to.
Yeah.
For example, the one that texted me yesterday. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
There's a girl that texted me yesterday that I saw on one occasion, and I knew I didn't want to hang out with her. I had no business hanging out with her. I didn't want to, but I felt bad saying no. So I ended up just doing it, and I was like, I didn't want this. Yeah. And you feel like your energy is drained. It's like, it's not worth it. So don't live to please people. Don't be hanging out with people just because you don't want to say no. Don't explain yourself all the time. If you don't want to do something, or if you don't want to talk about something, or if you just aren't comfortable with something, you don't have to explain yourself. Just tell them straight up, yes or no. And if they can't take that as an answer, then who cares? You don't need to explain yourself. And if you seem like an asshole, okay, you're an asshole then.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very common thing now. We're always doing things to please others.
Yeah.
We're always trying to, do things that not necessarily benefit us, but we're trying to, because we feel sympathy for that person kind of. And it's like, oh, if I don't hang out with them, they're going to say, like, we're not friends, or we haven't talked, or, like, especially, like, around our age, I would say. If a lot of you guys are listening and you're in your 20s, I feel like you guys can definitely relate in a sense where you get into your, mid-20s, and you're working, you have relationships, friendships, all these other things going on, and if you don't make the time for certain people, they're always like, oh, offended. So you changed.
It's like, no, like, it's just so fucked up, because it's like, okay, even if I have changed, why aren't you changing? You should be changing.
And this, honestly, a lot of people always say, like, you're doing this, you're not doing that, but it comes from both sides. The effort has to be on both sides. Like, it's so shitty when someone says, you haven't messaged me, you haven't done this. It's like, okay, I get it, but where has your effort been to?
Exactly. You just can't make everyone happy, and you just really need to realize and understand that there's little things you can do to really achieve this. And
that's a big thing, is like knowing that you don't have to explain yourself. If you see a pattern in certain people and they're always trying to like bring you down or give you like negative vibes, just know that that's a big reason enough for you to be like, listen, do I even need to explain myself? Yeah. Like, this person should know me well enough to know what I have going on, and, why I can't make these things happen. If they know you and they're real with you, then there's no reason for you to have to explain yourself. I agree. We're at that age, too, where, like, it's petty if you have to be, like, always trying to say, like, oh, I can't do this because of blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's like, if you know me well enough, you know that, I have time where I can make the time. Exactly. Anybody that takes it personally, I just feel as though that's selfish of them. Yeah. That is. The next point would be removing yourself from toxic situations. So this kind of goes hand in hand in what we just talked about. Yeah, it does, actually. But pretty much, if you know a situation is, again, putting you down and giving you negativity, just sending you bad vibes, you know that you need to remove yourself. Yeah. So there comes times too where you have a friend who's like a ride or die, but you consistently get into arguments, or there's always a like, oh, they're not making time for me. You always have to explain yourself as to why, your life is so busy and chaotic. You know that situation is toxic. Yeah. You know it, and you just kind of stay there because you don't want to be that person to kind of walk away. But that's another thing with self-love, is knowing when to walk away. Like, if it's a toxic situation, walk. And toxic can mean anything. It can mean friendships, it can mean romantic relationships, it can mean family environments, workplace environments. I had to quit my job because, yes, I didn't need it as much anymore, but also I was miserable there. It made me unhappy as fuck, and I was just like, you know what, I'm done with this. There's so many situations that I've literally just had to walk away from, and you just have to love yourself enough to be A, aware of when it's time, and B, being able to do it. Because it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy to cut off a friend you've been friends with for 10 years, 15 years, 5 years. It's hard. But you just need to know when it's time and just be like, you know what? I deserve better than this. Yeah. This is not what I expected it to be. You have to act on it. Exactly. Oh,
I like this one. So the next one is practicing a self-care routine. And this can consist of many things, whether it's improving your diet, running, exercising, all of that stuff. I have a certain self-care routine to improve my mental health. Do you have a self-care routine, Brenda?
I don't have a self-care routine specifically, things that I do, but I have changed certain things in my life that I guess could be a self-care routine that I've done.
Yeah, so things that kind of go towards improving self-care. Okay,
yes.
What do you do?
So for my routine, again, it's not really a routine, but recently I've been going through, I would want to say like anxiety. Like I've had like really bad anxiety. And it's weird because it was just on random things that I would start to like feel very anxious.
Yeah.
When I talked about certain things, for example, work or certain situations, I would always feel very anxious and very,
oh my God,
yeah, it's really weird.
I know those
we
ones.
can go into like, I guess, mental health.
Yeah, we'll go into that after for sure.
I remember talking to one of my friends about it, and she's very like into, you know, taking care of yourself. She's like vegan, always telling you
dedication.
Like what stuff you should do to kind of help improve your, you know, self-esteem and all that kind of stuff. And she was telling me, you know, like sleeping is very important.
Yeah.
Especially like when you're doing a lot during the day, making sure you're getting the proper rest, exercising. So not saying like you have to like run 5K every morning because, you know, I ain't got time for that. But like, you know, finding the time to at least, you know, be active.
Like get a stretch in, get a walk in. Makes sense.
And making sure like you're taking proper vitamins. Personally, I wouldn't really.
I slack with that.
Yeah, I know. I was really bad before. She's told me that it's very important to take D3 and B12. So people, if you're not taking vitamins, at least take D3 and B12.
Okay.
So making sure you're taking the right vitamins, the right medications if you're taking any kind of medications. Also finding things that like make you happy. So making sure that, you know, again, there's times in life where you feel very low. So trying to figure out what is it that's making you feel very down and trying to fix certain things in your life so that you're not consistently feeling very shitty.
I agree. For me, I have night and morning routine. I think that it's important to establish a nightly routine to take care of yourself. I personally do a lot. So I journal. Again, journaling is huge if you want to achieve self-awareness. I do a diffuser oil. I change it up every night to suit what I'm feeling. I do a prayer, do meditation. I put lavender oil on my body to sleep. I do a lot. I think that taking care of yourself and establishing like a ritual is really, really important. And then also on top of that, even just giving yourself enough work and playtime. So for me, I work from home, so it's easy to become a workaholic, but you need to make sure to give yourself boundaries. Like, okay, I've been working for 8 hours. Maybe it's time to watch a show for an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, give yourself enough time to relax. Otherwise, you're going to be overstimulated, and that's not good for you at all. And then in the morning, I do the journaling again. I have my tea or my coffee. I take a shower, I meditate, all that stuff. And I do affirmations. So that's the next point, actually, that affirmations are key to, well, not key, but really, 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 really helpful in achieving self-love. Do you know what affirmations are, or do you practice them?
I don't really practice them, but I do. I've heard how it's really good. I know like when people go into therapy and they have these sessions, one of their biggest thing is finding affirmations and talking to yourself and putting yourself, you know, in that spirit, in that motivation. It's kind of like giving yourself gratitude, but in a different aspect, I guess.
I feel like affirmations, there's two ways to kind of go about them and to really believe in them. Some people believe that the more you say it, the more you believe it, the more you become it, right?
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so I believe in that, but I also believe in the law of attraction. So kind of it's like placing your order into the universe, where you're saying it and you're giving that energy to the universe and you're like transmitting that all throughout, you know, what's around you, therefore attracting it. So I think it's like a spiritual law of attraction thing, but I also think it's like you believe it, you become it. So if you guys don't know what affirmations are, they're pretty much just like affirmative words, I guess, and phrases. So for example, like I'll read some of mine. Actually, I have them memorized. Some of mine include like, I am the woman of my dreams. I'm achieving everything that I desire. I'm beautiful. I'm confident. Like things that you look in the mirror and you say every single day, over and over again if you want, once if you want, and you just start to really feel them. And I think that this is so important because you're talking nicely to yourself. Like, this is another example I tend to give is when you talk to your friends, let's say your friend has an outfit on, she feels insecure, and she talks to you, and you tell her, girl, you look so good. Like, this looks amazing. Your ass looks great. Your body looks great. She's going to feel better about herself.
Yeah.
So why don't you fucking talk to yourself like that?
It's true. We don't give ourselves the love that we give others sometimes, and that's not cool. You have to make sure that you're treating others. It's the same thing as like that golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. So give that same vibe that you're giving other people to yourself.
Exactly. I also saw a quote that said to treat yourself like your child. So treat yourself as if you're your own parent. So imagine you have a kid. You're going to treat them like the world. You're going to tell them how beautiful they are. You're going to be so sweet to them, like me with my cat, you know? That's how you should be with yourself. Be your own parent in a way. And just treat yourself so kindly that the way that you'd want someone to treat your best friend or your child or your whoever. I think that's crucial because, like, why are we so mean to ourselves? And if we're not mean, why are we just neutral? We should be so nice to ourselves. We should be so kind and tell ourselves how much we love ourselves every day. I tell myself I love myself every single day.
It's true. And the positive energy that you give to yourself, it's what makes you keep going and makes you do better, right? It's like when you get into a test, don't say like, oh, I'm going to fail this one, or, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do good because I didn't study as much. It's like, put positive energy into yourself, put positive vibes, and only good things will come out of it, right? So always try to, think positive, get positive energy, and if you don't have nothing nice to say, then just don't share
fucking
that negativity.
Say it. Exactly. Negativity, I feel like, is so easily transferable. It's like when you're rushing in the morning. Did you ever realize that when you're in a hurry and you start to panic about being in a hurry and you're rushing,
you end up being later?
It's because rushing is a feeling of panic, which is a negative emotion, and with that, it's like all of a sudden, oh my God, like for some reason I can't untangle my shoelaces right now and my phone just fell and oh my God, I can't find my keys. No, everything starts to go wrong, and it's just a negative domino effect of shit going wrong, and that's because you're emitting a negative energy into the universe and it just gets all fucked up. But if you just take 5 seconds to breathe and think everything through logically, you're gonna save like a good 5-10 minutes.
And that's another thing too, is just finding the time to meditate, like breathe when you feel like you're getting into that like panic sense or you're being overwhelmed or stressed out. It's just like, don't worry, those things are always going to be there. So find the time to kind of make yourself feel calmed, feel recollected. We don't take enough time to do those sort of things, I find. 5 deep breaths in and out will change your whole aura. And even if you're in a rush, the most amount of time that 5 deep breaths will take is 10 seconds. Like, it's not going to affect if you're in a rush or not. So take those 10 seconds and do your thing and clear your head for a second so you can get to where you need to be or do what you need to do. Yeah.
So now that we've kind of gone over the ways to improve your self-love, we kind of want to talk about social media right now. Do you feel like social media, such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those things, do you think that they affect your mental health or self-love?
Yes, I do. 100%. Social media impacts us tremendously. I know a lot of us don't see it at first, but it does, because if you think about it, no one's posting the shitty stuff. No one's posting the bad stuff. Everyone's posting good stuff, positive stuff. And then it starts to make us think like, oh, this person's doing so great. Why am I in this funk? Yeah. This person has all these things. Like, we graduated at the same year, but, they already have a car. They already have a place. They're engaged. They have kids. What the hell's wrong with me? And those sort of things really affect us as a person. Social media is huge. Like, it can be a great thing, but it can also be a very dangerous thing.
I agree. I feel like social media is literally the highlight reel of someone's life. Yeah. And it's like when those YouTube couples are so perfect and then they break up and you're like, why did you guys break up? You guys were so perfect. No, they weren't fucking perfect. They showed you what they wanted to show you.
Again, you don't see what's behind the scenes, right? You might know of a person who always seems very happy, is super positive, super energetic, but you don't know what's going behind the closed doors. You don't know what's going on between their significant other, their kids, their parents, their families. Like, I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we felt very down, but we've never expressed them. We've never publicly put them out there. But every time you're going to an event, you're going clubbing, or you have a big event in your life happening, what's the first thing you do?
You post you in your hot ass Gucci belt with your dress in a nice car going to an event downtown.
And honestly, that's all for show.
It's all for show.
Yeah. And
so
like
true.
a big thing too is like even when I was working in the bank, like it's funny because you would see people coming in and they're like wearing Prada, Gucci, and all this stuff,
And they're broke.
and they're broke as hell.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, they're broke as hell.
Everyone's
the people who
broke.
look like they're homeless are the ones who actually have the money.
Mm-hmm.
So every time people are flaunting things, most of the time they're flaunting it because they don't have it, or they
Exactly.
just want to, put that emptiness that they have in their life.
They overcompensate in what they're lacking to impress others. I feel like people literally go broke trying to look rich.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. I find that social media is just toxic in general. It's very triggering, whether you're going through depression. Like, for example, even my breakup, it was very, very triggering. I had to get off social media for a month, and it improved my mental health so much. I don't know what I would have done if I stayed on social media at that time. All I did was go on TikTok. I feel as though social media is just, it's too much because it sets an expectation that you can't really meet. It's impossible to meet. And it makes you want things that you never wanted.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, I'll be wanting a car that I've never even heard of when I know I want a certain Benz.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
now I want this freaking car just because David Dobrik has it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
No, that's
weird.
happened to me a lot of times. Or there's like shoes that I've never heard of, and then
Yeah.
someone's flexing them on Instagram.
Everyone starts
and I'm like,
wearing
oh my
them.
God, what is this? And then you look into them and you're like, oh damn, they're fucking expensive.
It's crazy. I feel like if you find that you're going through something, take a second to ask yourself, is social media triggering me and making it worse? And if it is, delete that shit. It's going to be hard for a week, but after that week, you'll adjust.
And the thing is too, like, it comes to a point in which you're always consistently, you don't screen time, for example.
Yeah.
You're not noticing how much screen time you're putting into
Yeah.
it. I have friends who have like 2 jobs, have relationships, have friendships with other people, and they've noticed that, and well, anybody working a full-time job, you're working 40 hours a week, basically means you have 2 days off in the week.
Yeah.
Those 2 days, one day maybe you want to do fuck alls, you're just kind of like, searching the web, watching YouTube, on Instagram, doing all this stuff, and you will notice that literally half your day is spent on social media.
Oh my God.
And it's kind of crazy because if you think about it, it's like we don't have so much time in a day,
Yeah.
and you're already using most of your chunk of time, of free time, to be on these,
It's such a waste of time.
Exactly.
That's why I feel like social media can be okay. You just need to learn how to use it. Limit yourself.
Yes.
If you find that you're at a red light and you're checking your Instagram feed, there's a problem. I used to be like that. I literally used to be like that. And it's not okay. You just need to understand how to control it, especially if it's for work. Because for me, I couldn't be off of social media for too long because it is a part of my job. So I had to learn how to use it as a tool for my job and a little bit of recreational use without depending on it to have fun.
A lot of us have, smartphones, iPhones, all these type of new technologies. So if you guys do have that screen time, try it out. Check it out.
Do you want to check ours right now?
Oh God,
I'm scared because we're like preaching all this, but who knows? Maybe we have 19 hours.
It's really weird because when I'm on, I'll notice it. When I'm on, like I have a day off.
Yeah.
I notice how much I have versus a day that I'm at work where I'm only really on for like an hour or 2.
Oh my God.
But compared to a day that I'm off, I can be on for like a good 5-6 hours.
This is so scary. I'm talking all this shit, but like this week I've been on it a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. I have been. So my screen time daily average, oh my God, this is really bad.
Oh gosh.
Oh God.
But,
Mine's really bad. Okay, we need to take our own advice, or at least I do. Mine's 8 hours and 5 minutes.
Okay, mine's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad. Mine is 5 hours and 35 minutes.
Mine's really bad. But mine's my job.
Yeah, mind you, that's what I was going to say. Mind you, she, her life is all on
social media. Yeah.
Versus me, like, again, when I'm working, I'm not on my phone as much. I'll probably go on it after work. But even then, by the time I get home, I cook, put my stuff away, get my stuff ready for tomorrow. I have, like, maybe, an hour to 2 hours before,
Plus, you probably use it at work to pass the time, right? So it's fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
We're totally okay. Oh,
but
God.
I can see it right now where a day that I'm off versus a day that I'm working, it's very, very different.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. But
oh my God.
that goes to show, like, too much free time goes nowhere.
So you know what I want to do? I want to just read that list for everybody in case they want to write it down.
Yes.
So
make a list. Hold on, before we get into that, make a list because this is good for yourself, especially like in any situation. Again, comes to work, relationship, friendships, yourself. Like these are all good points that you can kind of improve in anything that comes into self-love.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, read it for us.
So the list that we have made for you guys today, these are the things you want to write down right now. Go grab your pen and your paper and pause, or your phone. Okay, so you want to achieve self-awareness. You want to learn to put yourself first, express gratitude daily, be okay with being in solitude and being alone, don't live to please others, remove yourself from toxic situations, practice a self-care routine or ritual, say your affirmations out loud in the mirror.
And that might take some time. It might take some time
it's gonna feel awkward.
But with time, I feel like it will become something that you're kind of used to doing.
You're going to be like, I'm talking to no one. This feels weird. It's very weird. But lastly, reduce screen time and figure out if social media is triggering or affecting your mental health.
Yes. All these things will help you in finding self-love.
I agree.
Finding yourself, finding your happiness, all those things. This is a very important topic, and this is why I feel like we went over it.
We went in today. Yes. I'm very proud of this podcast. If this helped you in any way, guys, let us know on Instagram.
Yes, our Instagram is Let's Get Real the podcast. And if you want to tweet us, our Twitter is Let's Get Real Pod.
And then you can also email us if you've got paragraphs on paragraphs you want to send. Our email is lgrthepodcast@gmail.com. And then we also have a YouTube channel, not really for contact, but more for highlight reels and stuff like that. If you want to check that out, you can. It's just called Let's Get Real Podcast.
And we haven't put too much content in our YouTube, but if you do think that, you want to see like visuals,
yeah,
and we maybe do a post of where we're recording, but like a video of it, let us know. Yeah. Again, this is like our 3rd episode in, so any type of feedback, is helpful.
It's all appreciated. Don't forget to leave that 5-star review and rating on Apple Podcasts.
Be real with us. Let us know how you feel.
Yeah, if it's shit, let us know. If it's great, let us know.
Exactly.
Right? We can appreciate honesty. So that was episode 3, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening.
And stay tuned for the next episode.
We'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.